Looking for new spring outfits or decor? Shop St. Vinny's for quality clothing, furniture, and home goods. Thrifting's cheaper than shopping at big box stores or online, and April is Earth Month, so shopping at Vinny's is a great way to protect the planet. Plus, support local. All dollars spent at St. Vinny's stay in Dane County. Proceeds go to local food pantries, pharmacies, microloans, housing support, and more. Follow at Vinny's Dane County on Facebook and Instagram to be notified when special events are coming up or to see the latest finds in store. What's that? Supporting Wisconsin youth music education is good for the community and the spirit? I know that's right. Mark your calendars. Notes and Narratives is an intimate one-day benefit concert on April 19th at My Arts Madison. This year features The Soldier's Tale by Igor Stravinsky, a theatrical work combining music, storytelling, and dance. This is a great fit for people who enjoy theater, dance, or live storytelling, not just classical music. Get your tickets today at wisomusic.org. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, spring election results are in. I'm up bright and early with the team to talk voter turnout and winners and losers in the various spring races. Joining me now is executive producer Haley Sperling. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning, Bianca. Happy post-election roundup. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. Ready to jump into the results of yesterday's election. We're going to start out with voting numbers. Top line, an impressive amount of folks turned out to vote in Dane County. It turned up and turned out with 100% of precincts reporting 51.1% of registered voters casting ballots. That's awesome. Just under 200,000 ballots cast. Cue the house music. You guys did it.
I love it. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Wisconsin for turning out to vote. Go Dane County. Those are our Dane County numbers. And that's, what we said before on the show, like Dane County, Madison, we love to vote even in a nonpartisan race like this one.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the biggest statewide race. The open seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court went handily to Dane County-based appeals judge Chris Taylor. Taylor beat her opponent, appeals judge based out of Waukesha County, Maria Lazar, taking just over 60% of the state vote, compared to Lazar's 39.8%. That's from the New York Times. That's over 20 percentage points for Chris Taylor. Taylor got just under 84% of Dane County's vote, compared to Lazar's 16.1%. This win extends the Liberal leading majority on the court to 5-2. The Associated Press called that race pretty quickly, under an hour after the polls closed. Here's Judge Taylor after the news dropped last night at her watch party.
Tonight, the people of Wisconsin stood up for our rights and freedoms, our democracy, our elections, and a strong state Supreme Court that will protect the independence of our beloved state.
Well, Haley, any surprises there?
I was surprised at how quickly it was called. I'm not going to lie. My friend came over. I was like, hey, come hang out. I'm going to be up late watching election results. They came over. It was like 9 p.m. and they're like, oh, Chris Taylor won. And I was like, what? Are you sure? Like the polls just closed.
It was really fast. It was really fast. And you know what? The Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reported that it's the fourth straight double-digit victory for a Liberal candidate on the Wisconsin Supreme Court dating to 2020. So this trend of kind of landslide wins keeps rolling in. It's also the fifth win in 6 elections overall since 2018. So yeah, certainly less spending and attention on this race versus the previous 2 elections, but it was a pretty decisive win and consequential. Judge Chris Taylor is a longtime Madison woman, so it's history for our city.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also just thinking about the voter turnout numbers that you shared. We hit 50% this time around, but last year our voter turnout was closer to 70%, which just shows how into the Supreme Court people were. If you'll recall, that was the race between Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford, where once again, for the second time in as many years, the actual makeup of the court was at stake. And now this time, as you mentioned, now the court has a 5-2 quote unquote liberal majority where the leaning of the court wasn't up to voters this time around. So the turnout was a little bit lower, but still not too much. So proud of us.
Yeah, considering it could have been a pretty sleepy situation, folks still did turn out despite all that money differences. Well, let's turn to talk about the Dane County Circuit Court Branch 1 race. Incumbent Judge Ben Jones retained his seat against his challenger, Madison immigration lawyer Huma Hassan. So Jones will go on to serve a 6-year term on the district court, judging civil and family law cases. To note, those assignments can shift during the term. Jones took home 55.7% of the vote compared to Hassan's 43.9%. As background, Jones was appointed to this bench last year to succeed current state Supreme Court Justice Susan Crawford after she got elected to the higher court. Jones had the majority of the establishment backing and endorsements from folks like County Sheriff Calvin Barrett, County Executive Melissa Agard, and Susan Crawford. Meanwhile, his opponent, Hassan, who's a lawyer and owner for Madison Immigration Law Firm, was backed by Dane County Circuit Court Judge Everett Mitchell, former longtime Dane County Supervisor and head of the Sexual Violence Resource Center, Dinah Pelabon, amongst others. I don't know if you have much to say about the district court race, but it was certainly something that we were watching.
I think it was spicier than we expected it to be, spicier than I ever expected it to be. I mentioned on the show in the past, I mean, this was the election I was getting the most ads for, which felt kind of wild to me. And then I learned on election day that Ben Jones is actually an alum of the Badger Herald, just like myself. So maybe one day I too can be the Dane County Circuit Court Branch 1 judge, which I am wholly unqualified to be, but dream big, right?
Yeah, and it does look like Ben Jones also outraised Hassan. The spending in this race was different than the state Supreme Court race for sure, but he was like around 90,000 and she was a little bit over 50,000. So, so Badger Herald alum gets his day. Haley, what happened with the school board races?
Yeah, it was a big night for incumbents on the board. Both current members managed to hold on to their seats in this election. In seat 6, Blair Mosner Feltham beat Daniela Mole with more than 60% of the vote. Mosner Feltham is a former Madison school teacher and current Sun Prairie area school teacher. This is going to be her second term on the school board. She got endorsements from Madison Teachers Inc., aka the MMSD Teachers Union. She also got nods from Progressive Dane and 4 current Madison school board members. So got a lot of big names behind her and lots of fundraising on her side as well. And then on seat 7, incumbent Nikki Vandermolen also held on to her seat with more than 56% of the vote against challenger Dana Colossi Lind. And according to the Cap Times, this win makes Vandermolen one of the longest serving members of the Madison School Board in the past 35 years. This will be her 4th term on the board. So no stranger to school board, no stranger to election. Vandermolen is a juvenile attorney. And according to WORT, when she was first elected to the board back in 2017, I thought this was a fun fact. She became the first openly autistic school board member in the United States. So some representation there. That I know is a big part of her platform too, is advocating for students with disabilities of all kinds. And for some context here, the Madison Metropolitan School District includes 52 schools with more than 25,000 students. So these folks are making some big decisions here on the school board, and looks like there's not going to be too many shakeups, not any shakeups for this time around, because the incumbents won.
Explore the wonders of science! Y'all, it's time for UW-Madison Science Expeditions, the yearly UW campus-wide science open house. Yup, you heard that right. UW is opening its doors to their science labs and research centers to you and your family for free. From April 10th through the 12th, you can adventure around your top-tier public land-grant research university. You can talk with world-class researchers, enjoy science demos, and get hands-on on at interactive exploration stations. The variety of programming is amazing. You can learn anything from what the inside of the human lung looks like to the science behind ice cream. You can even meet marmoset monkeys at the Primate Center. Again, UW-Madison's science expeditions events are free and open to all. So, see you at the open house? Find the full schedule at go.wisc.edu/science expeditions. Haley, what happened on the Madison Common Council races?
Yeah, so as we noted before, all of the even number city council, common council districts were on the ballot, but of those 10 races, there were only 3 contested districts. So I'm going to zoom through those. In the campus area, District 8, UW sophomore Ellen Zhang won over fellow UW sophomore Bobby Gronert. Zhang managed to get almost 80% of the votes, so she kind of took this one handily. She had endorsements from current District 8 Alder MGR Govindarajan and Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway. So the turnout wasn't huge for this one. You know, the vote counts were not massive in these student populated districts, but that 80% number really does just kind of blow me away in some cases. I can see it on your face too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard a lot about Bobby Gronert because of his connection with the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah, I felt the same way too. I did feel like he was almost like the louder one. And so when Zhang came out swinging, I was like, all right, cool. That's fine. Why not? Let's keep it moving. And then over in Southwest District 14, the third time was, in fact, the charm for Noah Lieberman. He won over Kate Blood with 54% of the vote. As we mentioned in our podcast earlier this week, Noah Lieberman is no stranger to running for this district. As I mentioned, it's the third time he's done it. Lieberman has a wealth of political and public service experience, having previously served as the vice chair of the Dane County Democratic Party and the chair of the Madison's Landlord Tenant Issues Committee. So definitely someone who knows his stuff about housing, who knows his stuff about politics. Like I said, this was his third time running for this seat. He clearly wanted it. Very excited to see what kind of attitude and new ideas he's going to bring to city council, because he's one of the newbies that's coming on this year. In a Q&A with the Wisconsin State Journal, Lieberman named housing prices as the biggest issue facing the Madison community. So like I said, his experience on the Landlord Tenant Issues Committee will be critical here to see what we can do in terms of addressing our housing crisis. And then lastly, in the West Side District 20, incumbent Barbara Harrington McKinney won over Sammy Kilgee with also nearly 80% of the vote. Harrington McKinney has served on the city council since 2015. In a Q&A with the Cap Times, she named several big issues facing the community that she hopes to tackle, noting population growth, affordable housing, new home ownership opportunities, building generational wealth, living wages, public safety, traffic enforcement, especially around reducing speeding fatalities, and, quote, fiscal commitment to make body-worn cameras a priority for the Madison Police Department in the next capital budget, unquote. So she's got a lot of things that she wants to tackle on her mind, and we'll see. She's been on the council for years at this point, and there's more to go.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like incumbents and establishment-backed folks are the winners for tonight. Outside of third time's the charm, Lieberman. I hope he's okay with us giving him that title. Okay, well, what happened with the 37 Dane County supervisor races?
Well, I can tell you I'm not going to list all 37 of them, because here's the thing. A lot of them were uncontested, so a lot of things not going to change. But on the county board, like you mentioned, yes, all of the seats were up for election, and I'm just going to kind of zoom through the results of the contested races, mostly in the Madison area, the Madison suburban area. So in District 2, which covers the northeast part of the Isthmus, think sort of like James Madison Park area to Overpass Tenney, incumbent supervisor Heidi Wegleitner won with more than 85% of the vote. In West Side District 7, incumbent Aaron Welsh won with almost 90% of the vote. In a battle for District 9 between two newcomers, Aria Trucios won with more than 60% of the vote. They were endorsed by the Cap Times editorial board, who liked their, quote, focus on the environment, their emphasis on housing affordability, and their interest in expanding Madison's CARES program. So an interesting note from the Cap Times board there. Over on the north side, District 12, incumbent Tommy Rylander won with 69% of the vote. And now hopping back over to the west side, this time closer to Middleton in District 15, incumbent-ish Amy Larson won with 62% of the vote. I say incumbent-ish because Larson was appointed to this seat back in February of this year after Dane County Supervisor April Kagea resigned after moving out of the district. So now she officially won this election and she will serve a full term. Then back over on the far east side, District 16, the Sun Prairie area, incumbent Rick Rose was ousted by newcomer Goodwill Obese. Obese got more than 54% of the vote. And then lastly, but notably, in District 20, which covers the northeast part of the county, outside of Madison for sure, incumbent Jeff Wigand lost to Paula Brandmeier, who netted more than 57% of the vote. If you'll recall, Wigand has been one of the more conservative voices on the board, stirring up some controversy in the process. He recently called for the board to shrink in size. He was one of the folks who really called for an audit of urban triage and their practices, and has, again, like I said, just been sort of a louder conservative voice on the board. So we've got some new faces on the county board this year, which is exciting.
It's exciting. 700 cheers to all those who put themselves out there to represent us. We've got some winners tonight. We've got some losers tonight. But what I do know is this. We are up very early to get everyone this information, and we have accomplished it. Haley, thank you so much for coming together to bring the spring election results roundup for the people of Madison.
We done did it for the people. Happy 3 a.m., y'all.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with someone who stays up to date with local news? All right, y'all, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until next time, take good care and happy Democracy Day.